Hi, my name is Dominic, one of the deputy heads, and I'd like to thank you for volunteering to be part of our review into reporting to parents. We've had a large number of families offer to support the school, so I thought the easiest way to gauge feedback and include everybody was to record a presentation and give the opportunity to answer some questions through a Microsoft form. So firstly, thanks again for agreeing to be part of it. We think it's really important to reflect on what we're doing and see whether our reporting processes are still fit for purpose. If I think back to where reporting has come from, my mum still has all my old school reports stashed away in the loft at home. And although these can make probably very interesting reading, as a teacher, I perhaps wince at the amount of time that would have gone into writing those. And when I look at where things have progressed to now, we've come a long way. However, it's always important to make sure we're moving forward and we're doing what's right. So we want to know what's working well for families in terms of our reports, what's working well for students, but also how we can adapt or change things to improve our reporting processes. I thought the best place to start would be to look at the current state of play. The statutory requirements on schools is to provide one report that is given with enough time that families have the opportunity to discuss its contents. At Lutterworth, we provide between 3 or 4 reports, depending on what year group your child is in. The additional report, or fourth report, that is provided is produced at the start of a school year for those students in year groups that are new to the school or new to a certain stage of their academic journey. It only looks at attitude to learning and not attainment data, so that we can see how students are settling in and nip any problems early on. Our reports kind of cover a snapshot in time, typically reviewing each term's progress and attainment per subject. So it would normally come around the autumn term, the end of the spring term, and end of the summer term, depending what year group your child is in. It shares with you what students have been learning in class. It gives you a judgment against some attitude to learning descriptors, as well as information on attendance and behaviour. So this is typically what a report looks like. I've taken a small sample of a school report. The first section is a target grade. This is externally produced and it's an aspirational grade for students. It's a grade that we want them to aim to achieve by the end of a key stage. That grade is based on primary SAT scores and is auto-generated for us. It's typically the same for all subjects and is part of the data that is used to measure schools and the progress and how well a school is performing. At parental request, the grades can be moved up if they think they're too low, but it's very rarely brought down. As a PE teacher myself, I know there's sometimes confusion how a Key Stage 2 SAT score can suggest a student's abilities in other subject areas, particularly subjects like PE, art, drama, technology. However, it's a typical process for all schools across the country that work in this way. The next column is PPE grade. It stands for Pre-Public Examination grade, and it's the grade that's awarded in a formal summative mock assessment. It doesn't appear on all students' reports, and only those that are in examination year groups where they've sat those formal practice exams, and it tells you how they're performing in those in comparison to their target grade. If you're not sitting them, that column would have just been empty or absent. The next column is the Markbook CWA. This stands for Currently Working At grade. It's a grade generated through a weighted average of all the classwork and assessments that a subject thinks reflects how a child is progressing. Some work students produce may count towards the Currently Working At, others may not. Things like homework might not count. Each piece, depending on the validity of the work, may carry a different weighting too. For example, more recent work should be considered more reliable indicator than more historical work, where a student's Currently Working At grade is 2 or more grades below their target. The teacher is expected to write a comment on suggested steps required to help close this gap. Next, we have the attitude to learning descriptors. They give a summative comment for each heading in line with the college's non-negotiables. Again, where there's a cause for concern, the teacher must write a comment in about what needs to be done to address the problem. And then you have the area for the comments. There are certain times or certain triggers that require teachers to put a comment on. Comment should reference the concern, but focus on the next steps students should take to improve and how they kind of address the problems. It should be forward-looking, not looking back at what's happened. Outside of the reports, I think it's also beneficial for you to understand the process that happens in the background and the timeline that we work to. So teachers have 2 weeks to complete their reports when we say a progress review is due. There is no directed time allocated to this, and staff pick this up as one of their professional duties outside of the classroom. For context, a teacher typically will have between 12 and 15 different classes, equating to around 900 to 1,350 reports to complete per school year. Once the reports are completed, they also then quality assured by subject leaders and members of the senior team. This also has 2 weeks assigned to it. In the case of a core subject like English, Maths, Science, that's around 240 reports per year group. And as we have multiple years having reports at the same progress review, it's probably about 500 reports to quality assure at each review point. This means that when the report is eventually published to parents, the information in some cases may be about 4 weeks old after it's gone through the writing phase and the quality assurance phase. However, the majority of what is shared on a school report is live in Gopher schools every day. Attainment, attendance and behaviour and rewards are all visible in different and perhaps more detailed forms on a student's profile page. The progress report acts as a photograph of this, but it might suggest that as the data is already live, could our reports be used to suggest something that's more suitable to families? And that's where the kind of reflection is coming in. We have other mechanisms that support home communication and reporting. We've got email, we've got our weekly parents' evenings. So actually they might be better forums to be getting that progress information alongside Gopher schools. And the report might want to cover something else. So now I've shared the kind of current state of play, we'd like to hear your thoughts and for you to tell us what you want to know from a report. We've put together a Microsoft form to gather that information so you can take the time to give us detailed feedback and answer the main themes of what is the purpose of a report for you as families, what is the purpose of a report for students, tell us what's working well, what do you like on there, tell us is the current system fit for purpose, can it be updated, can it be tweaked or adapted in any way to make it better for you. There's huge amounts of time that go into producing school reports, and if you're not getting the information that you want and need, then we need to reflect on that and change it so that you do get the information you want, so it's purposeful for you. Attached to the email then is a link to the Microsoft form. If you could kind of complete that over the next 2 weeks, that'd be really useful. That gives us time to review what you've said and then look at what changes may need to happen for the new academic year. Once again, I'd like to say thank you very much for your time, for watching and listening, and the time that you're going to take to do the form and volunteering to be part of it. Thank you very much. Take care.